And we are live.
All right.
What is up, my people? I am very happy today. My Halfway to Halloween series is continuing, and I am very honored today to bring on someone I've been wanting to have on the show for a while, Matt Facci. That's your name, right?
There you go. Good job.
Perfect. Did it, yeah. After messing it up last night, I was like, I'm going to get it right this time. So
Hell yeah.
I've been trying to get a roll of names. But yeah, we are here to discuss, because Matt voted in my Halfway to Halloween series. He voted on horror sequels. So we are here to discuss our favorites, our top 5 favorites between each of us. And then we might, just bring up some extra honorable mentions and stuff like that afterwards. So, so I'm excited to kick this off.
Oh yeah.
And since you are, first off, are you like, what's your whole idea with, the whole idea of sequels in general, like horror sequels? A lot of people, are like, oh, it's just cash grab making the second one, or
yeah,
something like that, or making a third one or fourth, and
that's I posted about Psycho 2 today, and that was a lot of the comments that were underneath what people thought were it didn't need a sequel. It was just for a cash grab. It's just to use the name, just to make the cash. And I mean, I could see where they're coming from, but if they do the original justice, I don't really see the big deal in making sequels. Obviously, like if you make a second one and it obviously if it sucks or it doesn't do as well as you would hope, then I think it's time to cut the cord and move on to new material. But if they're successful, example Halloween, obviously, and Friday the 13th, I'm fine with it if they keep pumping them out. Once Halloween Kills and Ends comes out, I'm fine if they reboot it again and go a different direction. It doesn't really bother me as long as I see Michael on a big screen or Jason eventually when he comes back on the big screen. I am totally fine with it, 100%.
I agree. And the thing is, too, is that with all these franchises, people, have a right to say, oh, yeah, it's just a cash grab. It's just going to be like this. But at the same time, they make a jack ton of money. So, from a business standpoint, you would be kind of stupid not to want to make another one because of how popular they are. And I'm saying all the people in the chat, hey, Heather, hey, crew, hey, Dan, hey, Snyder, all you guys, love that you were watching this. So now that we got that out of the way, and since you are the special guest, I thought I would let you start off with your list.
All right.
Now, do you want to do it by like just any order? Or do you want to just like do it numbered? Like any?
I didn't. I mean, I did pick. I had 5, but I really didn't have them in any particular order. I mean, I can put them in an order if I have to, but it's totally up to you, man.
Hey, I mean, I'm fine. I'm fine either way. On this show, it's just kind of more laid back, where you can either do it numbered, not numbered.
We'll just we don't even need an order then. We'll just
we'll just say 5, and then we'll just pump up any other ones that just come into our head. So
the list I gave you earlier, I did switch one out after thinking about sequels. I was missing one that I only came around to because of Destiny Faulkner. Talks about Strangers Pray at Night all the time, and I saw it the first time in the theater, and I walked out so disappointed. And it just wasn't what I was expecting it to be after seeing the original back in 2008. But upon rewatch again and the watch party I did with her, that's a really, really fun sequel that lives up to the original or may even surpass the original. It was one that I left off originally when I was making this list, but the more I thought about it, I was like, I can't just have Halloween after Halloween after Halloween on this list because I'd have all 5 slots filled with Halloween. So I didn't do that. So I wanted to switch it up and put on Strangers Pray at Night. Great kills. The 80s vibe is fantastic. I think they nailed it. The killers are fantastic. The characters, which I hated the first time around, rewatching it the second time, I actually liked them and enjoyed them for what they were. And I finally came around to giving it the props that it deserved. to begin with.
Yeah, that's with me, I was like the same way because the first Strangers movie is one that personally I think is one of the most underrated and like just best horror movies out there. It just when I
Totally
see
agree.
it every time, it scares me.
Yep.
Just that idea of it. And it was so serious and dark. I really like that. And so then going into seeing it, I saw it back in the day when I had Movie Pass. When that was a thing. So I went and used my Movie Pass, so I didn't even have to pay for it. And I went and saw it, and I was like, well, at least I didn't have to pay for it. I was like so upset. And I was like, because I was the same way. And then I watched it. I watched it later on like Blu-ray from like Redbox and stuff, and I found myself enjoying it way better. And it's weird because it should be the opposite for me because at home I'm watching it, it's just me. But like when I saw it in the theater, everyone was freaking out. They're like, "No, don't go in there. What are you doing? Oh my gosh. Oh." And they're doing all that stuff. And so you think that the experience would have hyped it up more for me in the theater, but it was one of those things where everyone else was enjoying it. I was just like, what is this? No, this is not at all. It changes this. And then once I rewatched it, I was like, I've given this movie too much shit. I think it's like honestly, it's one of those things that it pays homage to some of those old classic slasher films. Like they have a Texas Chainsaw Massacre scene for crying out loud at the truck at the end.
Yeah.
So like it pays homage to those while it's also doing its own thing too.
Yep.
And Damien Maffei was like amazing in the film.
Hell yeah, it was.
Baghead was as well as everyone. All the people in that film were. I may actually get a chance to meet him at a convention on May 28th, and they have a photo op, like a costume photo op you can do.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so he can dress up. If you just pay like an extra $40 or $50, you'll pay to have him dress up in the Baghead.
That's awesome.
Strangers Pray at Night.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. So I'm like, so yeah, that is a great choice. One of mine that I'm going to go with is one that doesn't get talked about enough, but I love it. It's just as good, if not even better than the original. And it's a found footage film called Creep 2.
I heard of it.
Creep 2 is both of them I believe are still streaming on Netflix.
Okay. I
highly recommend both Creep films. But I remember watching Creep and it was creepy, and then whenever I saw it I was like, oh my lord, I am like I'm unnerved watching this. And then the sequel comes out. I'm like, there's no way they can top this. And then the sequel comes out and it somehow did, because they gave this guy it's written by Mark Duplass. I forget if it's actually directed by him, but he also stars in the film. And it's about this guy who, in the first one, this guy's documenting going to this guy's house, and he finds out all this weird and creepy stuff about him as it goes along. And it's really, really an interesting story. And in the second one, it's like a girl goes over there this time, but they find a way in the second film to give him a sympathetic story. So you're like, so there's this creepo who you're just like, ugh, I'm not really a fan of him. But then they find a way that they make you understand him and make you understand why he is the way he is. And you're like, oh man, this is really good. They're giving a sympathetic story to him and actually making me somewhat care for a guy I shouldn't care for. and and it was just so brilliantly written and directed. And I know found footage movies aren't for everyone. Some people are not fans of them. Some people think it's a gimmick, all that stuff. But this is one of those that, like, I'm a fan of the genre. I'll admit when there's shit in the genre. But this is one of those ones that is, like, so solid and so creepy. And I was such a fan of it. Only negative, I'll say, about Creep 2 is that they had a chance. There's a scene. I'm not giving any spoilers away because I want you to see both these films. But there's a scene where they almost have a chance of showing us woman nudity, but
Huh?
instead they have the guy take off his towel and just show full frontal
Really?
full frontal dick. I was like, okay.
Totally
I was like, okay. I'm
went the
like,
opposite way.
it went the opposite way, yeah. And I was like, you float your boat. That's what you want to do. Okay, you know. Um, Horrorhead Heather says she hasn't seen Creep or Creep 2. I highly recommend checking those out. Those are, and crew member says, "Oh yeah, Creep 2." He knows what it is. Yeah, those are.
I didn't know they were found footage, to be honest. I saw the
Yeah,
cover and everything, but I did not know that's what they were.
yeah, they're found footage films. Are you a
Interesting.
fan of the genre?
Uh not one I go to that often, but
Yeah,
not terrible.
it. The Creep films are one of those films that, like, maybe with I would put up with Rec as
Okay.
like the films that, if you're not a fan of the found footage genre, I would recommend those films to those people, because I feel like they would, even though Creep 2 has a more crowd pleasing ending, still kind of more creepy ending. The first Creep is sort of like, well, shit type ending. And so even though it has like that type of thing, I still feel like it's one of those that would
Yeah,
appeal wider to people. So
gotcha. Interesting. That's definitely I always saw them on Netflix. I just never gave them a chance. So
yeah,
you
well, hey,
persuaded me to
now you've got a homework assignment. So
definitely got to check them out.
definitely. So what is thank you, Good Real. Love you, man.
Rad.
So what is your next one you want to mention?
I think this one is actually better than the original. I'd have to go with Child's Play 2. I think a lot of people say Child's Play 2 is better than the original. It's just you get more Chucky in Child's Play 2 than you did in the original. In the original, you didn't see him for 45 minutes. Obviously, you know who's doing the killing, but they want you to think, oh, it could be Andy, but everybody knows that it ain't Andy. But the second one, that's just full blown Chucky. Got more one liners. Got I thought it was scarier than part one, to be honest. I mean, they say part one's the scariest if you're gonna be scared of a doll, but I'd have to go with part two. The factory
Yeah.
setting at the end, that's fantastic. I thought that was I don't know why that's creepy, but I thought the factory setting was creepy. All the maze of Chucky dolls was fantastic. It seemed
Yeah,
kind of overkill on the amount of Chucky dolls they had, but I mean, maybe it would look like that for real. I don't know. I just
maybe.
the freaking ending when he cuts his hand off, gets ripped off in the bars when they come down on it, and he sticks the knife in there. I thought that was awesome, and then he gets melted and shit, and he's still coming after him. I have so much fun with the second one compared to the first. Not that the first one is bad. It's not.
It's no, it's
The
yeah.
second one is just way funner for me personally. And I'm a huge fan of the remake, which a lot of people hate, but I like that one as well too. But
I actually have not seen the remake yet. I need to get on that at some point.
it's fun.
Whenever I heard Mark Hamill was cast as Chucky, that made me excited because
He did a good job.
he's an amazing voice actor.
Yes, he is.
But yeah, Child's Play 2 is one of those that, like, I might agree with you. It's better than the first Child's Play, but I grew up more watching the first Child's Play. That one has more of a special place in my heart, only because of like the nostalgia ness of it all, because I grew up more watching that one than I did Child's Play 2. But yeah, Child's Play 2 is just like, yeah, man, with the way that ending is, like, are we allowed to say that, like, Chucky, I feel, is pretty much unbeatable? Because in the first Child's Play, he gets burnt, he gets like all this stuff, all this craziness happens to him. He just keeps coming up and up and up and up. And here's like, dude, you're a freaking doll. Are you going to die or what? That's just the same way with Chucky, with Child's Play 2. And yeah, the cast is great in that. The atmosphere, it feels very has a much more of a, I don't know, it has much more of a darker feel, which I really like about it than the first movie. It is definitely one I would say is a very worthy sequel.
Yes.
And other people agree with you too, because Dan in the chat, he agrees that Child's Play 2 is his favorite. So
Good shit.
yeah, that's one that that in the first Child's Play I will always revisit every year because those two are just, and it's one of those films. You know, there's few films out there where you kind of have to watch the next one alongside it. You know, like whenever I'm watching like the Kill Bill films, I can't just watch Kill Bill Volume 1. I have to watch Kill Bill Volume 1, then I have to watch Volume 2 because, you know, that whole thing.
Goes together. Yeah.
And it's kind of, for some reason, Child's Play is like the same way with me. I watch Child's Play and I'm like, when I have to watch Child's Play too. So it's really.
What do you think about the? I know a lot of people don't like it, but what did you think of Child's Play 3?
I kind of want to rewatch it again, see what I think of it again. I don't hate it. I thought that it was okay. Maybe it was also because it was coming off of Child's Play 2.
Yeah, it took a little.
And knowing that it was a drop down from Child's Play 2, maybe it's like, because there are some sequels out there, and even some like first movies and stuff that you set a bar.
Yep.
And then for some people, no matter how mature or immature this mindset is, if it doesn't match that bar, a lot of people will like be very upset or not be into it. And I was unfortunately not as pleased with Child's Play 3. I'll still watch it. It's one of those ones that but it's just one that I don't want to revisit as often. I might even like Bride of Chucky more, possibly. Maybe.
I think you're. I kind of. I don't want to lean that way because that's whenever it starts to get silly. But I think I agree with you on that too. I think I'd rather watch Bride of Chucky over Child's Play 3 if I had a choice. I think.
Yeah, Curse of Chucky. Now, I actually was a fan of that one. I know a lot. I know some people weren't a fan of that, but the Curse of Chucky, other than his design was like, oh my god, that thing was atrocious. Other than his actual design in that movie, like I enjoyed that one. So, yeah.
Was it an actual doll in the Curse and Cult, or was it more of the CGI crap?
I think
it looked weird.
Yeah, I don't know. They maybe tried to go the CGI route with it. I know that they took I didn't see the remake, but I heard that design was really divisive as well in the remake. People were
not good.
Yeah, people were not fans of the design. But, you know, with me, I don't let stuff like that deteriorate from my enjoyment of the movie. Like Halloween 4, which we may or may not mention. You guys will have to wait and find out. But Halloween 4 is one of those films that I am a massive fan of the actual film. His mask is shit. like, in my opinion, it is. I think it's but hey, maybe this is perfect leeway into talking about one of your picks if you want to go and talk about Halloween 4.
Where's it at? Right there. Well, the StreamYard thing's blocking it. Oh, right there.
Yep.
It looks. I hated the mask. I did hate it, but once the more and more I watched it, I kind of liked it, and then I bought it, and then I got it, and I was like, this looks really good. It looks more screen appropriate than the other ones do. Like when I got it, it really looked like it does in the movie, and like the other ones, like the hair's all goofy and shit, and it doesn't quite look right. But that one really looked good. I think it's more of the shoulder pads in Halloween 4 that bug me than anything else. And then how he walks so stiff, and when he's up on the roof scene with Rachel and Jamie, he's walking. I don't know. He's like bumbling around up there. But as sequels go, it gets pretty damn close to the original. I I have it above Halloween 2 personally. It just it goes back to that creepy Myers. I mean, not that Halloween 2's Myers wasn't creepy, I guess, but yeah, I used to like Halloween 2 a lot. I just think it's just so slow. In the middle of that movie, it just drags on for a very long time. It's more focused on Loomis driving around and whatnot with Deputy Hunt. But Halloween 4 gets back to Loomis hunting Myers with the sheriff, and it's Myers' movie. The kills are great. He's way more brutal than he was in the original. That's for sure. The characters may have changed, but he's still going after family, so that's kind of the same thing until My Favorite Halloween comes around and messes all that up, but that's okay. And it has the most Halloween atmosphere out of the whole franchise. So if I'm in the mood to watch a Halloween movie, as much as I love 2018, I'd probably go with Halloween 4 the most. It just puts me in that fall mood, and sit down. The opening credits, you don't need the Halloween score in that opening credits. You just need the farmland, the cool breeze you can hear going through, just a little ominous music playing in the background. It's probably the best intro in the whole franchise, and it has to be on my list, no doubt.
Dude, I wholeheartedly agree. Halloween 4 was a film that at first I wasn't a fan of, because of some of the stuff we mentioned, the mask, I wasn't a whole fan of that whole hillbilly subplot and all that stuff
Yeah.
and everything like that when I first watched it. But then I watched it more and more and more when I was younger, and I watched it as an adult,
Mhm.
and just everything you said just hits right on the head with this one. It's the atmosphere is like dripping in Halloween and October and fall season and all that.
Yep.
It is like it does have, other than maybe the original with the iconic music. I mean, it is up there for the best opening credits of all time, like you mentioned, because even though it has no music, it gets you in that mood. And I agree that other than maybe the original film, every time I want to watch a Halloween film, I'm always choosing that because it gets us in that mood.
Yep.
And I'm gonna say something. The chat might be mad at me when I say this. I don't know if you'll be mad at me when I say this, but I'm a fan. Don't worry, I'm a fan of the Laurie Strode character. I actually prefer Rachel from Halloween 4.
I agree.
Yeah, I prefer Rachel from Halloween 4 more than Laurie Strode. She was because Laurie Strode just, I don't know, took me a little while to get into her character. This one from the bat, she was smart. She was had just more of a dynamic to her. It was, and oh man, Daniel Harris, one of the best child performances ever put on screen as Jamie Lloyd. She's incredible.
100%.
I actually am working on like a passion project I want to do, which is a Halloween fan film, and it would be a sequel to Halloween 4. So it would kind of like the proper sequel. I want to give fans the proper sequel because Halloween 5 was kind of a letdown, but I want to give fans the proper sequel that they deserved and make it to Halloween 4. And so I'm writing 2 other horror films right now, but I'm saving that. I have an outline for it. I'm saving that on the shelf though, because I'm like, I want to get this right. I'm going to watch Halloween 4 a lot, make sure I get it right, have that feel to it. But yeah, I'm just such a big fan of that. Probably my second favorite of the franchise. The more I think about it, I mean, it's just Michael in it. Other than his look, he's so brutal. The shotgun kill, it's just I love it. So yeah, and that film does have the hottest babes of some of the hottest babes of the Halloween franchise. Just saying, you know.
Most teasing in a Halloween film, that's for sure.
That's true. That's true. Crew member says he's heard people say they prefer Rachel, so it's not shocking to hear that. Cool. Yeah, she's just such a good character. And all these, and also crew member says he adores Child's Play 3. So, hey, you know, you whatever floats your boat, my man. That's what's great. We all have different views, different opinions on things. For me, my next one, we talked about the iconic Michael Myers. Now let's talk about the iconic guy up there, which is Freddy Krueger. As I want to mention, Dream Warriors, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. To me, this film, sure, it's not as dark as maybe the first two were.
Yeah,
but it still has that. I mean, and I'm not a fan of the way they handled Nancy at the end.
Yeah, I can see
But overall though, like Jason or not wow, I'm gonna get so many favorite one. Not Jason, Freddy. The way they handled Freddy was just, man, he was so good in that. Had some of the best lines in that film. The atmosphere of it feels like the it doesn't have as dark of a tone, but the actual overall atmosphere has kind of feels like the original some, and it has honestly probably the best cast. Like all those kids probably are like the best cast of any Freddy Krueger movie. It is just it's so good, and it's one I will revisit often because it's just fun. Freddy. It was also kind of the start of when it started to kind of get ridiculous because it was what kind of spawned it to go in that direction. But for me, I just personally love the kills. The TV kill is just iconic. I love the characters. I love the atmosphere. I just love the writing of it, and yeah, it's just it to me. It's probably my second, maybe even third favorite of the franchise. I love it. So, what do you think?
that's for all the people that know me and listen to me. That's the one franchise that I don't talk about at all because I'm not a huge Freddy guy. I've never really growing up. That wasn't the one franchise that I went to. Honestly, over Halloween, it was probably Friday the 13th. Was honestly when I was younger, it was probably the number one franchise I would go to. However, the original Nightmare on Elm Street obviously is the top of the list right there for sure. I hear a lot of people say Halloween, the second one, everybody hates it. I hear more people say they like the second one than they hate it. That's just like the way people just lead it off when they talk about Nightmare 2. Kind of like to set themselves apart, like, hey, everyone hates this, but I like it. Everybody says that, so it really can't be that bad. I haven't seen these movies besides the original in years. But I do remember the third one being very fun, obviously. This is whenever he's starting to turn into MTV Freddy, like you said, but he's not 100% comedy yet. Not like it will become in 5 and Freddy's Dead, which is like what the worst sequel like ever. But
if we were mentioning worst sequels, we would definitely be putting Freddy's Dead on this.
I can't even say it's bad because I don't even remember it at all. So
the only part I remember, because Wizard of Oz is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Maybe I remember that.
Yeah, with the Wizard of Oz is like in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. So when I that's the thing that implanted in my brain because I was so mad that they butchered such an iconic scene. I was like, no, why could you do that? No, I was so mad. But yeah, that film, I can understand that. And about the whole Freddy's Revenge, I think is what it was called, the second film.
Yeah.
I noticed it, a lot of people didn't like it, but like you said, I've noticed as it went along, and especially in like the last year and this year, a lot more people are fans of it. And I'm wondering if it has to do with that Scream Queen documentary thing that was released on Shudder, which was about the actor
Oh yeah.
in part 2 and what he went through because of him being gay and stuff like that, and of what he went through on set and all this stuff. And I wonder if watching that documentary kind of gave a new light to the overall feel of the film for people. Maybe
I could get that.
But yeah, I'm a big Freddy guy. I dressed up as Freddy Krueger for Halloween one year. I mean, Michael Myers will always be the king for me, but Freddy is someone who I love. I will say though, while the first 3 are excellent films, my boy Jason does have overall the more enjoyable amount of films because Freddy's got like some major stinkers in that lineup. So with Jason, I can at least enjoy even some of the dumb ones.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why I feel the Jason, the Friday 13th franchise overall is more solid for me.
I can agree with that as well.
Yeah. And I can. Oh, you do have. Yeah, you have literally everybody else on your wall except for Freddy. I can see.
Only thing I have Freddy is the glove.
Ah, yes.
That's it. And then there's a poster over there on the other wall. That's it.
Cool. Yeah.
I mean, I own all the movies and everything. It's just I don't really watch them that much. I'm saving that review series for a little bit later. I'm not ready to give that my 100%. So
sure.
I'm gonna wait.
Hey, if you ever need somebody on to talk Freddy with you, I'm your guy because I'm a big Freddy fan. So
good. I need somebody that knows it more than I do because I don't know nothing about
yeah.
it.
Thank you. Yeah. Hebert Getty says Freddy was never the same after he gave us the clown wave with when King Philip. Oh yeah, I think I know what he's talking about. That was kind of weird.
Was Freddy's Dead? Was that the one that he was on the beach in sunglasses too, or was that I can't remember.
That was either 5 or 6. I think.
I was gonna say no. I remember that for some reason.
I think it was either 5 or 6, one of those two. But I think 6 was that one where like he had a daughter or whatever.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It was weird and like because I just remember him dying, and then like she ends up killing him, and he's like about to blow up or whatever. He's like kids, and that's his last line, and he blows up. It was like really weird. I was like, what the hell? It was so bad. Yeah. So, what other film do you got, man?
Well, you brought up Jason a little bit, so I was thinking about it. I love the final chapter, I do, but recently, I'm going with Friday the 13th Part 2. I am.
My man.
It moved up the list so high. I used to be in the middle. Every time I watch it, I just have such a good time with it. I think I watched that movie for Ginny, I think, which most people do because she's an amazing final girl out of all the final girls in any franchise. I love Sackhead Jason. He's creepy as hell. Yes, he's klutzy as hell, and he falls off chairs and breaks pitchforks and stuff. But that's fine. That adds to the charm of him. He's a rookie in that movie, as I've heard before people say. That's rookie Jason, so he doesn't fully know what he's doing. But recently, when I want to watch a Friday the 13th movie, I'm going with Part 2. I mean, I do love the remake too. I know a lot of people hate that one. I love it. But like I said, recently it's been Part 2 for me. I just have a good time with it every time. I love all the characters. Great kills in the movie. Obviously, they were edited a little bit, obviously, but they're still good. We got Terry in there. You know what I mean? Her nipples are hard the entire movie, no matter what's going on. So that's fantastic. Her ass is hanging out like the whole time. She grabs the wrong cheek when she gets hit with a rock. You know, it's corny, cheesy '80s fun, and it was for me. I'm not a huge fan of the original Friday the 13th, so
Okay.
This one is the first movie done better for me. I don't like the first one like at all. Besides Kevin Bacon,
Jeffrey,
and
it's
Mrs.
Jeffrey Cool from Killer Flicks. If you watch this, don't dislike this video because Matt says he's not a fan of the original Friday 13th.
Oh, and I hate Jason Takes Manhattan, Jeffrey. If you watch this, so there you go. But you already know that.
Well, I hate it too. I'm gonna have in August is when Friday 13th comes up. I'm gonna have Jeffrey on to give a Friday 13th ranking, and oh man, we are going to be fighting with each other because I'm gonna have like Part 8 like near the bottom of the list.
It's just not. I don't know why he likes it so much. I hate it.
Yeah, same. It makes no sense, and it's just boring.
Exactly.
But Part 2, the crew member's like Friday 2, Friday 2, Friday 2. He loves it. But yeah, that film, Jason overall has never really scared me.
True.
Until I saw Part 2. I saw Part 2, and the sack head Jason is the only Jason that really ever scared me. Because maybe it's just the fact it feels more real than like a man in a hockey mask coming at you and trying to kill you. Maybe, I don't know if it has to do with that, but like the whole one eye look of it where he has like one eye cut out and just a bag over his head and just overalls, like there's something so creepy about that it is kind of chilling every time. And it is, like you said, 80s fun, but it's one of those movies that, like, I tell people, like, my favorite Friday the 13th, as far as this pure enjoyment level, is this bad boy, Jason Lives. But when it comes to, like, quality, I honestly do think Friday the 13th Part 2 is the best of the franchise. Probably. Like, it is just, it's probably one of the darkest. It's probably, it has the best cast of any of the Friday the 13th movies. Amy Steele alone is just the reason. Yeah, she's one of the best final girls of all time. Her alone is one of the reasons why that film I give such high praise to. Now, I've never shown my mom that film because I've been trying to introduce her to some of the Friday the 13th films lately. She's actually been enjoying them, but I've never shown her this one because of she's a dog lover, and the whole dog scene in it. I was like, oh, she probably won't like it. But overall though, Friday the 13th Part 2 is just it's so good. And it was who played Jason in that one? Do you know?
There was two people that played him in that one. That was Steve Dash and Warren Gillette was the other one.
Okay.
I think Steve Dash played him for most of the movie, and then Warren Gillette, if I'm not mistaken, he was the one who came through the window at the last scene of the movie.
Such an iconic moment when he comes through the window. That is up there with that coming out of the water, grabbing Alice. That him coming out of the window like that is up there with it. It is, man, so iconic. And that Jason though, like his performance is one of the, it's just not talked about enough, unfortunately. And he is one of my favorite Jason performances.
It was good. He's
Yeah.
kind of got a little. He's kind of in the shadows in part 2 compared to the rest of the time. He's just kind of walking around.
Yeah. I mean, Ted White is still probably my favorite Jason, but
he's up. Yeah, he's up there too. I'm a huge Derek Mears guy too. So
yeah, Derek Mears. I actually have the remake sitting on my table on Blu-ray, and the entire rest of the box set. I'll be showing those off on my video tomorrow because I'm doing a horror collection vid. So, but yeah, I love this franchise. There's still a few others I need to own. Like I own every other one except for Freddy versus Jason, and I don't own Jason Goes to Hell yet. So,
do you like Jason Goes to Hell?
No.
Okay, then that's okay, man.
Not at all. That's why I don't own it. I've never had the urge to buy it.
It's so bad.
It is. It's awful. I have a friend who watched it, and he was like, he says it's not good, but somehow he enjoys it. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever floats your boat.
That's Filthy Dan loves that movie. Oh, it's fucking terrible.
Sorry, Filthy Dan. We're roasting it for you, man. Yeah. Hebert says Friday 2 and Burning had a scary campfire story and a prankster in a mask jumping out to scare everybody in 1981. True. Those are and Dan Movie Man, another Dan, says he loves Jason Goes to Hell. Okay. Well, yeah, you get on out of here because he says, okay, now I'm out after that. Yeah, you get on out of here. We don't want to hear from you no more, man. Okay.
I really tried to watch it with an open mind and give it a chance, but it's just not enjoyable for me at all.
I get that. For me, next one I want to mention is one that it's not necessarily a direct sequel, but it is part of his overall trilogy that he did, or his saga of these films that he did. It is a George A. Romero classic. It is Dawn of the Dead from 1978. This classic zombie movie. This film is horrifying. It is relevant to today, like some of the stuff he implements into his films, like how Night of the Living Dead was very relevant, and Dawn of the Dead was very relevant. So that film there was just the makeup work by Tom Savini, I think, who did it with Dawn of the Dead.
I think so.
And just the way that they made the zombies, the cast, the performances, just everything about this film is pretty much just almost flawless. It's pretty much a perfect zombie film. Night of the Living Dead is, I don't know if it's one of those things where if you were to ask me, yo, Michael, which one do you prefer, Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead? My answers may just switch up on each other because I love them both so much, but I grew up a little bit more with Dawn of the Dead, and that thing, man, it fucked me up as a kid. It was horrifying. Did you ever watch it?
I've never seen the original. I've seen the remake. I really, really want to see the original, but I have not seen it yet. No.
Well, what did you think of the remake?
I love the remake. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't. Is that? Does the original kind of go that way, or the remake went totally?
Well, what Zack did with the what Zack Snyder did with the remake of Dawn of the Dead that I feel any remake should do. This is why I wasn't a fan of the first Rob Zombie Halloween, is because it like tried to be a copy and paste at the end. Like that whole third act was a copy paste of the original.
Yeah.
What I like about this remake of Dawn of the Dead is it did its own thing. It was kind of taking its own route while also paying homage to what made the original so great. And it made its so it had elements of the original in there. and had certain parts, but overall it took its own twist on the story, and I feel like that's how remakes should be done. And so Zack Snyder did a really good job on that, and I'm just a Zack Snyder fanboy. I'm so excited for Army of the Dead coming out. That looks so. That looks so
I didn't
good.
watch the trailer yet. I read all the people talking about it, and I saw a couple people did trailer reactions, but I was like, another zombie movie. I was like, I'm not gonna look at it, but
I mean,
I gotta check it out. The trailer.
yeah, it's one of those that they're for people who say, "Oh, Hollywood doesn't make any more original ideas and movies." This is certainly one of those. It was really good, and
I gotta check it
I
out.
love, I love me, yeah, I love me Zack Snyder. He did really well with the remake. But the original Dawn of the Dead is just a classic. It is one that maybe before Army of the Dead comes out, you can watch them both back to back, the original and the remake. For some reason, I don't know why it is, but the original is like hard to find. Yeah,
I was trying to buy it. I could find it, but it's really, really expensive, and I wasn't willing to pay how much they wanted it for it. It was $40. I saw $50. I was like, I ain't doing that.
yeah,
I didn't
and
know if it's streaming anywhere or not.
yeah, I don't know if it's streaming or not either. I don't know if you can like buy it or rent it on VOD or anything. Um, but yeah, supposedly it's like out of print or whatever as far as its physical uh media goes. Um, yeah, it's such a shame because it's such a good movie. I was like, people really need to watch it. It's so good, and Herbert here or Hebert mentions that the mall setting was
Good.
really cool. And in both Dawn of the Dead and Chopping Mall, as he mentioned. But
Shopping mall.
yeah,
That's false advertisement right there.
that was. I enjoy Chopping Mall.
That's
Honestly,
so weird.
I enjoy it. But it was one of those. But like whenever I watched it, I feel like if I watched it by itself, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it. I watched it watching Joe Bob Briggs' show on Shudder.
Make a difference.
And so he had his little thing talking about it, and that might have made me enjoy it a little bit more than if I watched it by itself.
Killer robots in the mall. Don't get better than that.
Oh yeah, nothing gets better than that. Forget Michael Myers. He's got a new foe with killer robots in a mall. Yeah. So Dawn of the Dead, 1978, iconic classic, one of the best zombie movies of all time. So what other film do you got mentioned?
I already said one from the franchise, but being a Myers fanboy, I gotta go with oh no, right there, Halloween 2018, my favorite. I'm the weird guy that puts that above the original. I know it's blasphemy. I get it, but I love everything about it. I love that they went back to the way Myers was. However, he's way more brutal, but it's still the same guy. You would think that is Nick Castle the entire time. He moves like his mannerisms or everything that he does is Nick Castle. So I love that he put in the work, James Jude Courtney to replicate it, to become the Myers from '78. I know Laurie, the character, is a little out there and wacko, but it was good to see her back. I really, out of this trilogy, I hope that it's time for her to go away. I don't think she's gonna die in this one, but she has to die in ends. It's kind of got the same thing happened with the Scream franchise. It just Sydney wins, Sydney wins, Sydney wins. And there's really no point to watch the movie because you know Sydney's gonna win, just like you know Laurie's gonna win every time. So eventually she's gonna have to lose, and
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. To be honest, I know a lot of people are. She ran her course. It's 40 plus years. It's time, put that to bed and go a different direction. But they nailed everything for me. I think the soundtrack is better than the original. Carpenter came to play definitely with the soundtrack. The kills, obviously, there was hardly any blood in the original. The kills they're iconic for what they were, but nowhere near what we got in 2018 with the kills. And I love kills in my slasher movies, and this was a slasher movie, 100% amped up. This was Halloween 78 amped up. And the word on the street is, from everything that we heard, Halloween Kills is going to be amped up even more, which I don't know how you're going to kill 130 people like they said. Obviously, they're just pumping out numbers, but I'm looking forward to Kills.
I mean, it might be 130 people with the script written, but once you're in the editing room, that probably won't be nearly that much.
Like, I know they said the body count's 10 times more, but they can't make it so ridiculous that he's just walking down the street.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to need to have a story, so obviously it's
Yeah.
probably not going to be to that level. And I agree with you about the whole Laurie Strode thing. Maybe because it's called Halloween Kills, maybe she will die in the next one. The only thing is, and Hebert mentions it here, how they killed Laurie in Resurrection.
That was terrible.
That was terrible. But I'm wondering if they're now worried to kill her again. I'm wondering if they're afraid to kill her again because they're worried they'll get the backlash that they did with Resurrection, or something along those lines.
I just think if they're gonna kill her, it has to mean something.
Yeah.
In Resurrection, obviously, it didn't mean shit. He just stab in the back, and then I'm gonna kiss my brother, and then that's the end of the. Michael's leaving. Have a nice day. She has to go out saving somebody, saving Allison, saving Karen, doing something. It can't just be walks up to her, stabs her, that's the end of the film. She's dead. Move on to the next one. As long as there's a good meaning behind it and it fits the narrative of the story, I don't think fans will hate it as much as they did in Resurrection. That was
like that's why I don't completely hate Nancy's death in part 3 of Nightmare on Elm Street. Is she died saving the kids?
That makes sense then.
And did something like that, so it feels like more of a respectful way to send off the character.
Yep.
And I feel like they can do something like that with Jamie Lee Curtis, or at least have a passing of the torch to like another actor or something like that. Maybe she gets her moment to drive off in the sunset and then someone else just takes over. I don't know. However they do it, I'm game. That's all I know. With Halloween 2018, now if my friend Ari was watching this, he would be right there with you. He's gotten some major flack in Killer Flicks recently for putting the 2018 one above the original and even putting the soundtrack above the original, all this stuff. And I might agree with you on the soundtrack, because with the original film, he only does like two little things. In the 2018 film, he expands the soundtrack and does all these different tones and sounds that we never even heard in the Halloween films before. And honestly, I was like, of course they weren't going to, because they have a fucking horror bias. But when I was listening to the score for Halloween 2018, when I first watched it, I was like, John Carpenter deserves like his overdue Oscar nomination for this score. Like, it was that dang good. It was my only thing with Halloween 2018, and I do love it. I'm one of those weirdos. I have it like number 2 or 3. I don't know whether I put Halloween 4 above it or this, but it's like a number 2 or 3 for me, behind the original. But the one thing that bothered me, Halloween Kills can have all the kills. It can be darker and all this stuff, but they need to get rid of some of the forced humor that was in that movie.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that.
Because to me, in Halloween 2018, there was just some moments in there that I just didn't feel right, didn't sit right. Like the scene where the kid's babysitter's dying. Your babysitter is fucking dying,
Oh shit!
right in front of you, and you're just like, oh shit, and you're just running downstairs, and I'm like, I, I understand he's a kid, but still, I don't feel like a kid would react jokingly like that. I think a kid would actually freak out, maybe
Yeah,
even more than an adult would. They'd be like, "What the hell is happening?" They'd like freak out and all this stuff and try to get help. And this kid is trying to be comedic relief. And my one friend who loves it as much as you do, or maybe even more, he like hails it as like a masterpiece. Um, but uh, he always defends that scene, and I got into a little bit of a we love each other, but I got into a little bit of a hustle with him, I guess you could say, because um I sent him the scene. I'm not a fan of either Rob Zombie Halloween film. However, I think Annie's death in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2
it's
is
fantastic.
done masterfully and is just brilliant. Especially like the look on the dad's face, the look on Laurie's face, all that stuff.
Yep.
I sent him that scene and I was like, okay, I want you to compare the babysitter scene in Halloween 2018, and I want you to compare Annie's death, and I want you to tell me which reaction feels more authentic and real.
Oh shit!
And he told me, he was like, well, yeah, I mean, the other one does feel more authentic and real. I'm like, exactly. That's one thing Rob Zombie was able to capture better than David Gordon Green is the authenticity of that death scene and the harsh reality of that death scene.
Yeah.
Um, rather than David Gordon Green, who has done a lot of comedic stuff, so I guess it makes sense. But there's just, and it's not just that joke, that whole like, oh, I got peanut butter on my penis or something. There's like other jokes in there that just, I'm like, really? Do we need to have all that? And I almost, luckily they didn't go this route. I almost hated it when they had the doctor put the mask on,
Oh yeah.
like everyone else did at one point. Once they completely took that out, though, and they had Michael kill him, I was like, yes, I was so happy. Because if they went that route, oh man, I would have been so pissed.
I I was getting nervous. I was like, "You fucking kid? Are you serious?" They
Yeah.
killed Michael, and then this little short, chubby doctor guy's gonna be the one killing. Yeah, yeah, right.
I'm
That
like,
didn't
well,
last long.
all you have to do, Lori, is just run away, and so he won't even
He'll
catch
be out
up
of
to
breath
you.
real quick.
Yeah. Um, and you mentioned how brutal. I was like watching all these Michael Myers Monday things, which is, hey, it's perfect talking about Michael Myers when it's Michael Myers Monday and Killer Flicks.
Yep.
And I was seeing all these posts, and Lee was asking like which one would win between the Halloween 4 Michael Myers or the 2018 Michael Myers, and I was like 2018 because the reason why is I feel like he is sort of like Batman and BVS. He's like that. He's like at that point where he's Michael Myers, but he's old and he's pissed off. And he's just ready to just fuck shit up and stuff like that. And that's what I feel that this Michael Myers interpretation was. So he felt very brutal. And it was and Nick Castle did play, I forget how much of the film he was in, but he was in the suit for a little bit.
I think. Honestly, I think it was just that one shot whenever Lori saw him standing up on the second story in the mirror. If I'm not mistaken, that was the only scene that Nick Castle actually.
Yeah, I think it was. But the actor who did play Michael Myers did a really great job at capturing the essence of Nick Castle.
Nick Castle, yep.
Yeah. So that's not a bad choice, man. And it technically counts because it retcons every other movie and is a direct sequel. So yeah, that one I the only thing that I'm so tired of these type of sequels. Like I'm mad that Scream 5 is doing it now too, where they title it
Scream
Halloween. And I'm like, now I have to differentiate. when I say, "Oh yeah, I love Halloween," if I'm
Which
talking
one?
about certain one, I'm like, "No, I'm talking about the 2018, not the 1978 version." Now with Scream just being called Scream, I have to
Which
be like,
one?
I'm like, they'll be like, "Which one?" I'm like, "The 2022 movie, not the 1996 movie." And stupid. I mean, I'm like, especially with like Scream, you have chances of doing like a 5 cream if you wanted to go that route,
Yeah.
or like or like do like Scream but have like the A turned upside down, so it's like a Roman numeral 5, something
Oh
like that. You could do something along those lines, kind of cool.
no,
But
let's go Scream.
yeah, it's but they're just doing Scream, and it's okay.
Texas Chainsaw's doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I
Texas
heard too.
Chainsaw Massacre. That's what it's called.
And I heard that's going to be another one of those sequels that retcons
Yep.
every other one, and it's going to be a direct sequel to the first film.
Bringing back Sally. Yep.
Yep, and it's not even the same actress. Obviously, it can't be because she passed away. But
Yep.
um, it's that movie I'm hesitant for, but also kind of excited at the same time.
Me
The
too.
Scream movie, though, I'm excited. That's not one of those ones that's like retconning everything. It's being an actual direct sequel to Scream 4, which is um, really good. You actually have a Scream movie that you want to bring up, right? Or
I did. I moved that to an honorable mention instead of being in the top 5. But a lot of people don't like Scream 2. A lot of people jump to Scream 4. I like Scream 2. It's my second favorite. I think the story makes sense. Nancy obviously being Billy's mother, it makes sense that she would want to kill Sid, and she couldn't really do it herself because she's kind of older, so she had to get somebody else to help her. And Timothy Oliphant played the psychotic killer perfectly, which he wasn't in the movie nearly enough, I don't think. But I think that was the point of him not being in the movie enough, so that we totally forgot about him. And then when he comes back at the end, you're like, oh shit, that was that Mickey from the beginning. Because
yeah,
you're like, I don't know who it's gonna be. It ain't, I don't. They try to push Cotton on you. That was kind of too obvious that you knew it wasn't gonna be Cotton. And they tried to push Derek on you again. It's gonna be just like the first one, Billy the boyfriend. You're like, trying to push all these people on you while Mickey's sitting right over there, and you didn't even really think about it. And Jamie Kennedy, Randy, that was sad, but maybe he'll come back for Scream 5. Maybe he really wasn't dead. Maybe it was fake. I don't know. We'll see. But I love Scream 2. That's definitely my second favorite.
Scream 2. Scream 4 might be my second favorite. I just did a commentary with Robbie on my channel of Scream 4, and I loved it again even more doing my commentary. But Scream 2 is one that holds a very special place in my heart because it actually came out my birth year,
There you go.
1997. So I I hold that near and dear to my heart. And I do actually agree that I like the killer reveal. Now, Scream 1 obviously will always be a masterpiece, will always be the best films. But I have to say, I've never been happy or satisfied with the killer reveals in Scream 1. And the reason why is because they felt too obvious. I mean, it was like, okay, it's obviously it's going to be Stu, and and so it was so obvious. With Scream 2, they took it a different route by not having him in the film as much, like you mentioned, and so you like totally forget. And then once he pops up and shows his face and reveals it, you're like, shoot, yeah, it's that guy. Uh, the thing for me that keeps it from being like number 2, and I get that is a film that makes fun of horror movie tropes and all that stuff. It makes fun of all the mistakes, but it has one of probably the dumbest decision I've ever seen put into a horror movie. And I'm like, Sydney, you were so smart in the first film. You're better than this girl. and it's where she decides after Ghostface crashes the car.
Oh yeah.
There, they decide instead of kicking open the other window, instead of trying to find their way out into the back, instead of trying to do something like that, they decide to crawl over the killer to get out of the open part of the window, like the open window beside him. That was a shit decision. That was dumb. And that's the only part that like I get to and I'm just like, ugh, nope, not a fan of that. Everything else I like in the movie though.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a solid one for me. Um one I'm going to also put on my list that some people prefer this to the original, and I completely get that. I prefer the original, but this one is uh a real quick crew member says, I wish we got to see Billy and Stu corner Sydney in costume in the kitchen. How cool would that have been? And then they take the mask off for the reveal. Yeah, that's kind of
That'd
cool.
be cool.
That would have been cool. My next one though is it's so sad that this franchise has pretty much died because just none of them are quality anymore after the sequel, the first sequel that came out, and that is Aliens, the James Cameron sequel to the first Alien. Now, some people might be like, "Well, it's not really a horror movie; it's more of an action movie." You're putting it on a horror movie list, and I can agree with that. That's why I didn't put it at number one.
Yeah.
Or anything is because I realized that it's a little bit more of an action feel, but still got the xenomorphs and they're still creepy as hell, man. And it is just so effective. It's got Bill Paxton. It's got super iconic lines. Get your hands off her, you bitch. And then, game over, man, game over. And there's all these just iconic lines from that film. Uh, the cast, it has some of the best like cast of characters we've seen in the franchise. Um, it is one of the ones that's just the most like fun. It's got a better pace than the first film.
Oh
The
yeah.
first film, while I like the first film more, it is very slow. Um, and so but like this one has a little bit more of a smoother pace to it. Um, and it's just it is badass, man. Have you seen Aliens?
I want to say I've seen them when I was very, very young. I have not seen them since I was probably a kid. So that's another franchise that everyone always talks about and is so good, but it's just not. I'm not really. I never got into it. I'm. Everybody knows that I only like slashers, and I'm trying to branch off into other subgenres of horror because I'm kind of boring. But I'm trying. I just find slashers way more appealing than anything else. But I'm
Yeah,
starting to venture off a little bit, I guess. They're
I
on my list to watch though.
I've always liked what Robbie said one time about how there's like
Yeah.
three different categories of horror fans. There's like category one, which is just I just want to have fun, and
Stick
it's the
figure.
slasher movie, the zombie movie, all that stuff type of people who just want to have fun and let their brains go. Then there's the like serious but like social commentary message
Yeah.
fans, and that's like where Robbie falls in. And I'm always the guy who you might think you're weird loving slashers. I think that's more common because those have more of a wide appeal. I'm always the one that's like being called the pretentious asshole because I'm the more of the artsy art house style horror guy. Like I love my Midsommar, I love my Hereditary, my stuff like that. I'm more fans of those type of horror movies. I still love, I fit all three categories because I love slashers, I love um like social commentary horror, I love all that, but it's the art house style horror that I tend to fall under more. Um, and with Aliens, uh, I mean, I don't really see how anyone says, "Oh, it's such a great franchise," because the franchise as a whole kind
No.
of sucks. It's honestly because all you have is Alien and Aliens, and then I enjoyed Prometheus, especially like the first 20 minutes or so. But every other film is kind of bad. Like, I don't like any of the other films in the franchise, so it's what yeah, it's one of those that if someone's telling you, "Oh, the franchise is amazing," it's a lie. Don't listen to them. It's just really those first two that you really need to see, and that's what I always recommend people. I just say, "Well, just watch the first two. Don't watch any of the others."
That's what I
Um,
hear.
yeah. Do you remember enough from when you were a kid, or
Not at all. The
yeah,
only honestly, the only freaking one of those movies I remember is Alien versus Predator, and I don't even remember it being that good. I just
yeah,
remember it for some reason.
yeah.
I
Well,
like
hey,
Predator probably more though. That's probably why.
maybe you can have an excuse to watch that franchise if you ever do a Alien review series.
I was thinking about doing that too. I just have to work my way into wanting to watch them, I guess. Because,
Yeah,
like you said, I know most of them aren't very good, and I don't know. I don't
yeah.
want to lose interest 10 minutes into the movie. And
I mean, both that and Predator, they just can't get either one right.
I don't mind the Predators.
I mean, the Predator and Predator Two are, and I mean, okay, maybe Predator is overall a better franchise because they had like Predators, which was fun, but
That's the one with Adrian Brody, I
Adrian
think.
Brody,
I like that one actually. Yeah.
yeah. Then they had the first Predator, and then they had Predator Two as just a fun guilty pleasure.
Yep.
Um, Other than that, though, the rest aren't really that great. Um, but yeah, it's man, I AVP. Yeah, I remember that movie. Um,
I just remember. Then what? They made a second one, right? But it was so dark that you can't even
yeah,
see anything
Requiem.
going on.
Yeah, it was so bad. Um, yeah, that was not a good movie. Do you have any other one you want to mention?
Um, only other one I would have, and another one in the Halloween franchise that I love is H2O. I know everybody hates it. I love it. That's another one that I go to. That's one that me and my wife have in common. She doesn't watch too many horror movies, but she does love H2O, so we tend to watch that one a lot. So I guess, and I was 10 years old when that came out, so that was one of the first Halloweens that I've ever seen. So I guess, like you said before, with your choice, the nostalgia plays a big factor because that was one of my first introductions into that franchise. So I'm always gonna love it, even if it does have that Dawson's Creek scream tone to it. I still love it for what it was, and I always have a good time with it. It doesn't bother me whatsoever.
Yeah, H2O is, and maybe it's just the fact that they kind of ruined it by with Resurrection
Yeah.
right after that, and the fact of being like, oh, she never killed the real Michael. It was an imposter, dressed up as Michael Myers. Like maybe ever since they went that route, I was just kind of that made me kind of like it less and less.
I could see that.
But Halloween H2O though is one of the better ones I would say of the franchise. Um, it's just I still though to this day will never understand the purpose of that like quick. It's a very quick scene, but that CGI mask never will understand.
I, honestly, I didn't even notice it. Like when I first watched it, I thought it was goofy, but I just was like, maybe they just used a different mask for that scene. I never knew it was CGI. And there were so many ways to go around not using that stupid CGI mask, just over the shoulder shot, or just focus on. I think his name was Charlie. I think just focus on him, and you wouldn't need to show Myers' face at all. Instead, they chose to show a 1998 computer generated mask. But whatever floats their boat, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Um, It's just like, hey, but what's worse, the CGI mask or that like clown mask he wears for a little bit in Halloween 5? I think it was Halloween 5.
That's a tough choice.
Yeah. Just,
At least it was a real mask, I guess. The CGI was
yeah.
not even.
But yeah, that one's fun and enjoyable. Probably the dumbest title of any of the Halloween films. Halloween Water.
Halloween water.
I get what they were trying to
Yeah.
go with the H20 or Halloween 20, but it's
That
I wonder if they like were pitching it and they were drinking water and they were just like, well, we need to come up with a title of this movie. They're like, oh, it's 20 years. And it's like, oh, I'm drinking water. So
oh, man.
maybe they put the connection together. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, because obviously it's supposed to be H20 20 years later, but even in the trailer it says Halloween H2O. It doesn't fucking say H20. I
Yeah.
don't know who thought that was a good idea. Like you said, they must have just been really thirsty and said, "Screw it, we're gonna go with it."
Sure. I didn't know this, but Hebert Getty says H2O had the Psycho car in it.
Oh, with Janet Leigh. Yep, Jamie Lee Curtis's mom. Yep,
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I
that
guess
was a nice throwback.
I guess that is a nice throwback and is fitting for Janet Leigh. Uh, he also says the only problem he has with the Halloween franchise is the off-screen kills, too many throughout the franchise. I can maybe see. I mean, I don't have as big of a problem with that as much as I do like some of the whenever they do that in Friday the 13th films, because those
Which
films are really bad at off-screen kills.
and they were made to be gory and show the kills. That was the main reason for the Friday the 13th franchise. And then, like you said, half the kills are off screen. You don't see them anyway. So
Yeah, especially part 7. It's like the MPAA.
oh
The MPAA ruined that movie. It was so sad.
yeah,
My one that my biggie, my number one horror sequel of all time that I wanted to mention is one of the single greatest horror movies ever made of what I believe is the greatest franchise of horror ever made because all of them are great, even the remake and even the television show. And it is Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2 is just so much fun. It is wacky. It's goofy. I'm more of a fan of the first Evil Dead because I like the fact that it still had a little bit of that hokiness, but it is creepy. That first Evil Dead movie is like really scary. And I liked that it had a little bit more of that darker feel to it.
yeah,
But with Evil Dead 2, though, they solidified it as that B movie franchise that became so popular because of all the one-liners, all the goofy moments, the scene like that scene with the hand where it's crawling around and he has to like fight his hand or whatever and eventually cut it off. The scene where he attaches the chainsaw to him and that iconic groovy, all that. So like it has all the lines that people know from Ash. It solidified his character,
mm-hmm.
but it wasn't one of those ones where they're like what some of the films that we mentioned, like the Freddy films, the Chucky films, stuff like that do down the road, where they're like, oh, let's just make it goofy. They did something to where they had it make sense.
Yeah.
He lost his shit in that cabin, and he went full retard, as Robert Downey Jr. would say, and he just uh, he was just going crazy and didn't know what else to do. The thing with the Deadites, the evil was starting to mess with his head. That he just cut off his own hand. He started having chainsaw hand, and ever since then, it solidified it made us the Ash that we know today, and that we are so grateful to Bruce Campbell for playing.
Mhm.
and making one of the greatest horror characters ever put to screen. It is, and this one still has a little bit of the low budget creepiness to it as well. Not as much as the first, but this one does have that, especially with the headless lady walking around and everything. And yeah, I have a blast with all these films. This one, Army of Darkness, I didn't mention here, but that's another great one that is definitely one to consider because it is just so much fun. It's my favorite horror franchise. Every single one is just great to me. So, what?
I've only seen. I just watched the original for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I saw the remake from when was that? 2013, I think. Something like
Yeah,
that. I seen the
yeah,
remake. I love the
20,
remake,
yeah.
and I know I know bits and pieces of Evil Dead 2. I've never actually seen the film, and I've never seen Army of Darkness either. I own them all, but I've just never got around to watching them. I did I I thought I would like the first one. I did not have a good time with it at all. I like the
Oh
remake. I
man,
like the remake 100 times better than the original. But that might be because I seen the original or the remake first, so
it could be
I
that.
kind of had to have the original live up to the remake instead of the other way around. So that's probably why that I like the
Maybe.
remake better.
I mean, I know that I I have a friend who saw the remake first. That was the first Evil Dead film he saw, and then I showed him like the first two Evil Deads, and then I borrowed my Blu-ray of Army of Darkness, and he enjoyed all the films. But he actually had like the first Evil Dead film tied with like the remake as like his favorite, pretty much because it just still had that creepy feel to it.
Mhm.
The whole like the laughing woman in that film, that and like the way they do that, and the way that they play it out in the first film was still really. I mean,
Yeah.
for a low budget indie film like that, it was very effective, and it's in both Evil Dead and Evil Dead Two. They spawned. It's because of them that they spawned so many movies that Cabin in the Woods,
Yeah.
several other films that took inspiration from the Evil Dead films. Um, so yeah, I love it, and I definitely do recommend. They're not because the remake is one that is drastically different in tone. It
Oh
is
yeah. Yeah.
dark, very dark.
Yes.
Um, I mean, I'll never forget the raining blood scene.
Yeah.
Um, but it is so drastically different that I would say go in knowing that Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness are like almost completely different. They are whackball, goofy, fun comedies,
Mhm.
like horror comedies. They are not ones that are meant to be taken seriously in the slightest, really. Uh, and then I've watched the TV show, and it was so sad it was canceled because the way they set it up in season three, the end of season three, it would have been so fucking good. Season four would have been so good. I'm so mad they canceled it. Um, but yeah, that show honestly might even be better than the movies for me. Like, I love
Yeah.
the series. Um, so yeah, I recommend definitely checking out Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, but just go in knowing that it's
Different.
completely different. Yeah.
I
Um,
think I think I'm gonna. I was gonna jump on Evil Dead 2 next. Actually, I finished up Psycho 2 today, and then I think Evil Dead 2 is where I was gonna go next. I was
yeah. Watch
curious to see how that was gonna be.
watch Evil Dead 2, then maybe check out Army of Darkness, and then once you check those out, you have more homework with
I know.
the creep films eventually on on Netflix,
Yep.
stuff like that. That'll be fun. You have to let me know what you think of all those.
I got a lot to watch. So
Yeah, don't worry. You're still in the clear, my friend. I love Destiny to death. She is an amazing person, amazing human being. And Destiny, if you're watching this, all love, all love. But we got to get you watching more movies, girl. Like, I'm constantly berating her about she's never seen like The Princess Bride. You know,
I've seen that.
that's such an iconic. You know, I'm like, oh come on. Uh, she never saw Ginger Snaps, or
Seen
you
that.
know, and like there's all these other horror and non-horror films that she hasn't seen. And I was just like, she is like, it's on my list. I have the list of it. Or she'll like watch all the kill counts. She's like, oh, I've seen the kill count for that one.
Yeah,
Like, but you haven't seen the actual movie. You've seen the kill count. Come on, girl.
that's the go-to right there. I've seen the
Yeah,
kill count.
I'm like, they even put it in the slogan. They were like saying, don't watch the kill count unless you've seen the movie or something like that. And so, but you know, she does it anyways, and that's her thing.
Yep.
And it's yeah. I was watching Sinister Cinema reviews talking about the Paranormal Activity movies, and he led in at one point into mentioning Fight Club. Chris Snyder, his girlfriend, and Destiny were all in the stream. Every one of them went blank because none of them saw Fight Club. And I was like, oh, come on. I was so upset. And I was telling Jason that. He was like, it's ridiculous. None of them have seen Fight Club. And I was like, I know. What the hell? Why? But hey, I mean, there's several things like that. I mean, Destiny's not seen any of the Star Wars movies apparently.
Yeah, I've seen. How many is there? Like 9?
Yeah.
I think I've seen 4, maybe 4 of them.
Which
Not
one?
really a Star Wars guy.
I can understand that, but which ones have you seen?
I've seen the original 3, and then I think I saw Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I've been telling her, I'm like, just watch the original 3. That's all you need to watch, really.
Yeah, that's what I was told.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not a fan of any other ones after that, pretty much. Yeah. Do you have any others, or because I can't really think of
Nah, not off the top of my head, anyway. Because I know as sequels go, for the most part, they get worse and worse and worse. So
yeah,
kind of hard.
I know that this is one of those. He says, yet I'm shocked Destiny has seen Deep Red.
I've never seen that. I know what it is, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, Destiny saw that, but she hasn't seen a lot of other stuff. Yeah, so yeah, I don't really I have anything out of the top of my head right now, but I'm sure as soon as we're done with this live stream, I'm probably gonna be like, it always happens. Every time there's a live stream, I'm always like accidentally out. I'm like, fuck, there was that one movie. Damn it. I'm always I'm always like, dang, I could have mentioned that. But yeah, I don't really have any out of the top of my head right now. I just, really enjoyed having you come on.
It was awesome.
I'm glad that we were finally able to do this.
Hell yeah.
We've been trying to do this for a few days now, and finally we're able to. Before you go, I asked you about your thoughts on the horror sequel thing. I'm always kind of throwing out more deeper questions in my live streams. I did it to Destiny, I did it to Robbie. So I want to know your thoughts on what makes the idea of horror sequels so like polarizing for people, because there are some people out there who just the idea of it just is like, for a lot of people out there.
I think once you see an original film and you fall in love, like Halloween, for instance, when you fall in love with the character like Michael Myers, not that you're meant to love a serial killer, but you know what I'm saying. You fall in love with the aspect of the killer. You don't want it to end. You want to keep coming back and remember the good times that you had with the guy. And sequels give you hope that, hey, I'm gonna get to see him one more time, and then you see him, and then like the other franchises go, it gets shittier and shittier, and then breaks your heart because like Texas Chainsaw, for example, they could never get it right. They just have to keep rebooting it and rebooting it and rebooting it because they just can't get it right. None of the sequels really work together as a story. So once you get the sequels that work as a story, you as horror fans, you look forward to them coming out every year, like how Saw did it when they were pumping those out every year. I know a lot of people don't like that kind of movie, but they were good, and you look forward to those every year coming out. It's like a little kid in a candy store for horror fans to know you're getting good sequels directed by good people that actually are going to take the time, to do it right and not just go for the cash grab like they do with other films. Like Halloween 2018, they didn't just go for the cash grab. They did that the best they could to line it up to make Halloween fans of 78 love 2018, even though it was kind of split decision for the most part. But you got to give it to them. They tried. They did the best they could to get it close to the original. And sequels, you wouldn't even have. I mean, you still have horror movies, but it would be a lot different. There'd be a lot less of them, that's for sure. Without the sequels, I mean, look, Friday the 13th got what 12? The original and then 11 sequels. I mean, Halloween got the original and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Gonna be 12. You got it. I look forward to these, shitty or not. I mean, Resurrection was shitty, but I still look forward to it when it came out originally. Obviously, it sucked, but I was still there in the theater whenever I was young, ready to see it because it was Michael back on the big screen where we want to see him. And as long as they keep pumping him out, I'm going to keep being there, and I'm going to keep paying to see him because it makes me happy, as sick as that is.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, you nailed it right on the head. But when it comes to characters like Michael Myers and Jason and Freddy and stuff like that, there's always, with every other kind of franchise, like some people are feeling at this point, despite its box office numbers, people are feeling the Fast and Furious fatigue at this point and everything because of how many they're making,
Yep.
with that. But with someone like this, the characters are so richly grounded into our DNA of movies and cinema,
Yep.
that they've built the foundation for what we love of horror, that no matter how many you make, people may not like certain ones you make, but they'll keep on coming back to see them because
Yep.
they love that character and they want to see that character again and again and again, like you mentioned.
Yep.
And you can't really say that often with a lot of other things, but horror is one of those ones that really people go back to
Over and over.
And for me, the first Halloween was, I actually got to see that on the big screen before I saw the new Halloween movie. I rewatched it there. But as far as the newer Halloweens, Halloween 2018 was the first one I ever experienced in a theater. So it was great. Yeah, great lists. Guys, let us know below which one had the better lists. Did you like Matt's, the Facci monster, or did you like mine, the Wolfman? Which list did you like more? Sound off below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and let us know your top 5 sequels down in the comments below as well too. It was great having you on here. Do you want to, real quick, guys? I have the link to his YouTube channel in the description below. Give him a sub. He does some great stuff. Him and his little buddy, the other, I think that was his name. Yeah. They do some great stuff on there. Glad you didn't put him on the stream. I would have.
No, he's not invited.
Freaked out too much. Oh, that's good. But yeah, definitely give him subscription, guys, he's in the description below. Sub to my channel if you want me to continue this series. This is one of my most viewed series. Having you on here, I got like 10 people eventually watching. It was really cool. But yeah, so tell people anything cool that's coming up on your channel.
Coming up on hopefully on Friday, I'm going to have Destiny and Robbie on, and we're going to talk horror from 2006 to 2010, finishing up our 2000s horror talk we were doing. And then next week, me and Filthy Dan are bringing on the people behind the upcoming My Bloody Valentine fan film. Valentine Bluff's on the show, and I love My Bloody Valentine. It's probably my favorite slasher that there is. So I'm going to be like a kid in a candy store talking to them about that. So definitely looking forward to them coming on because I'm geeked to hear what they are gonna give us.
That'll be exciting. I'll definitely be tuning in for both of those. Things I got coming up is continuing this series with another video tomorrow, my Blu-ray collection. But I've also got I have on Thursday a Mortal Kombat Annihilation commentary.
Ooh.
Yeah. So the next one, the sequel, because I did Mortal Kombat last night, and I'm going to be doing Mortal Kombat Annihilation now. And hey, if you don't have anything to do Thursday, you can feel free to join. I'm actually thinking about making a drunk commentary because I might need
I
to
don't
help.
hate that movie.
You've not seen that movie?
I've seen it. I don't hate it though. I know it's terrible.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it.
Hey, interesting. Okay, well, hey, I mean,
that came out when I was like 8, maybe 8 or 9, I think, when that came out. So I was big into playing Mortal Kombat on freaking Sega. So.
Oh yeah, that one also came out my birth year too. So.
That's probably why I like it.
Hey, so yeah, I mean, having someone on my stream who likes it would be pretty cool. So maybe if you're not doing anything Thursday night, but yeah. So again, thank you. And also on April 30th, I will be having a horror trivia night.
Ooh.
That's one thing I want to do to close out this series. So you can come on for that too if you want for horror trivia. That'll be fun.
Sweet, that sounds cool.
So yeah, thank you for coming on. This certainly won't be the last. Having you on has just been such a fun time.
It's a good time.
So yeah, now we'll have to return the favor. I'll have to come on to your channel at some point.
Yep, we'll get you on. That's no doubt about it.
Yeah, man. So that'll be about it for this stream because I know we went a little bit over time, but that's fine. It's been a good discussion. So
hell yeah, fun time, buddy.
Oh yeah, I loved it, and so I look forward to our next video.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, dude, it was good. This was a good stream. Good night, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed it, and remember, until next time, stay spooky, my friends.